In the heat of the moment, we're burning like a flame in the...
Welcome to the Living Well, Living Rich podcast. I think we have all experienced that yet incredibly specific, deeply frustrating moment where you finally get a chance to just stop.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like you are lying on the couch, your physical body is completely at rest, but your brain is somehow just sprinting a marathon.
Right. It is a profoundly universal feeling. And the irony there is that the rest you were supposedly getting in that moment, it isn't restful at all.
Not even a little bit.
You were burning cognitive energy while lying completely still. Just, running through this chaotic maze of everything you haven't done or might need to do.
Or, I don't know, a conversation you should have handled differently like 3 days ago.
Exactly.
Which is exactly the problem we are tackling in today's deep dive.
Right.
We are going to figure out how to find genuine, inner quiet. And the best part is we're going to learn how to do it without needing to pack up our lives and retreat to a silent mountaintop monastery.
Yeah, no monasteries required.
Right. So the insights we are working with today come from a really fascinating book called Stillness in the Storm, Finding Peace Amidst Chaos. It is written by Elara Finch and Dr. Shu-Chen, and it's published by Kokoshungsan.
And it is such a compelling text, too, because it doesn't offer you a superficial list of, quick fixes or breathing hacks.
Yeah, we're not doing the breathe in for 4 seconds thing today.
Right. It actually attempts to reframe the structural way we understand our own minds and our relationship to our environment.
Which is huge. And I want to say right up front, if you find yourself drawn to the way we break down these insights today, I highly recommend that you visit Kokoshungsan.net. They have this incredible wealth of resources focused on education, health, and personal growth.
Really amazing stuff.
Yeah, their entire philosophy is built around the idea that knowledge changes destiny and education changes the world. So definitely check them out. But to get us started on the material itself, let's look at the core thesis the authors present. Because they argue that our fundamental definition of stillness is completely backward.
Yeah, they do. We tend to think of stillness as a void.
Like an empty space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We think of it as the absence of motion, meaning we assume we have to forcefully stop our thoughts, freeze our bodies, and basically create a vacuum in our minds to find peace.
Which is impossible, by the way.
Totally impossible. But Dr. Howe points out that in the middle of chaos, stillness is not the absence of motion, but the presence of peace.
The presence of peace. That's an interesting way to phrase it.
Right. It is a background condition. It's something that is always there beneath the noise, waiting to be recognized rather than, some artificial state we have to forcefully manufacture.
By wrestling our minds into submission.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can find that quiet background condition, we kind of have to understand what exactly is throwing so much fuel on the fire in the foreground.
Right.
If we look at the mechanics of our mental chaos, specifically what the authors call the nature of mental movement, it turns out our thoughts aren't as rational as we think they are.
Oh, far from it. When you actually observe a busy mind, you realize that anxious thoughts rarely progress in a straight, logical line.
They don't just go from point A to point B to a tidy resolution.
No, they loop. They fragment. They turn back on themselves. You will find yourself constantly revisiting an earlier conclusion or tweaking the hypothetical tone of a past conversation.
Reopening a decision you literally already finalized.
Yes.
And we trick ourselves, don't we? We trick ourselves into thinking that because a thought keeps looping, it must be incredibly urgent and important. Like, if my brain keeps bringing up that email I sent yesterday, my instinct is, oh man, I must have made a terrible mistake.
That is such a common trap. We routinely mistake familiarity for urgency.
Wow. Familiarity for urgency.
Yeah, the authors explain that the mind actually prefers the known to the unknown. So it circles the existing material not to discover any new solutions, but simply to maintain momentum. We have developed a learned condition of urgency.
Meaning we trained our own brains to be this stressed.
In a modern context, yes, because urgency usually starts as a completely appropriate responsiveness. You meet the demands of your busy day, you answer the emails, you put out the fires.
You do your job.
Right. But over time, that constant responsiveness hardens into a permanent expectation. The mind becomes neurologically accustomed to constantly scanning the horizon for what needs attention next.
It's like it forgets how to turn off.
It literally forgets how to rest with what is already present in front of it.
Yeah.
And this creates a constant background hum, like a low-level anticipation that never entirely goes away, even when the external demands stop.
Okay, it's like having 50 browser tabs open in your brain.
Oh, I love that analogy.
And one of them is playing a faint, annoying ad.
Yeah.
Like, you aren't actively looking at the ad, but that background hum is draining your battery anyway.
Yes.
You just feel the sluggishness of your operating system.
What's fascinating here is how the mind reacts when you finally do get a quiet moment and try to close those tabs.
Yeah.
Shut the laptop, you sit on the couch, and instead of relief, you feel completely exposed.
Oh yeah, like something is wrong.
Exactly. Without the familiar noise and stress to orient itself, your attention frantically searches for reference points. So we rush to fill the silence. We start planning tomorrow's dinner or inventing a new worry, simply because the mind anticipates that it must be required to do something.
Right, it has forgotten how to just idle. We feel that exposure, that quiet, and we interpret it as a warning signal. We think, I must be forgetting something important.
Because the mind treats its own restless activity as evidence that action is required. But stillness in this framework is simply letting that engine idle without hitting the gas.
Letting it idle.
Yeah. It is recognizing that the hum is just mental weather. It's a rhythm the mind adopted over time, not an alarm bell signaling that you are failing to manage your life.
So when you stop fighting that hum and just observe it,
The urge to constantly fill the space actually begins to weaken. The engine slows down on its own.
that makes a lot of sense. But our internal mental clutter doesn't exist in a vacuum, right?
Not at all.
Like, if our internal engine is constantly revving, what is throwing fuel on that fire from the outside?
Yeah.
It can't just be our internal loops. Let's look at the physical spaces we are sitting in while our brains spin.
Well, the physical spaces we live and work in, they quietly participate in our inner lives. They do not merely hold us, they affect how our cognitive energy is spent. And there is a brilliant distinction made here in the book between rooms that hold attention and rooms that pull at it.
Hold versus pull. So if a space is crowded or discordant, the mind is going to mirror that chaos. It's looking for a place to land visually and mentally, and it just can't find one.
Exactly. And this comes down to the concept of quiet demand. Every single item sitting out on your counter, your desk, or your floor carries a small, unfinished narrative.
An unfinished narrative.
Yeah. It represents an incomplete task, an old hobby you feel guilty for abandoning, a role you're trying to maintain, or a deferred decision.
Oh, like the massive stack of mail I need to sort. Or the broken toaster I meant to fix 3 months ago.
Precisely. And individually, those items seem minor, but together they create a massive cognitive load. Your mind is unconsciously tracking all of these items, holding them in peripheral awareness without resolving their meaning.
Which fragments your focus.
Right. Your brain is expending physical energy to constantly process that visual clutter, which leaves you depleted even if you are just sitting there trying to relax.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because, wait, does this mean to find peace? I have to throw all my stuff away and live in a sterile, white, minimalist box?
No, definitely not.
Because I like my things. I have art, I have books. Take my guitar, for example. It's sitting in the corner of my living room. I haven't played it in a year. Is that a quiet demand because it makes me feel guilty that I'm not practicing? Or is it an orienting anchor because I love music? Because honestly, the idea of living in an empty room just to avoid that guilt actually stresses me out more.
And that is the perfect example of the tension here. The authors are very, very clear that this is absolutely not about extreme austerity or preaching yourself with rigid aesthetic minimalism.
Thank goodness.
It is about coherence. It is about honestly evaluating the relationship you have with your belongings. The objects that remain in your space shouldn't be demanding an apology from you.
Right.
If looking at that guitar makes you feel a pang of guilt every single day because you quote-unquote should be playing it, then it is pulling your attention and draining your energy.
So it's about the emotional resonance of the object, not just the object itself.
Precisely. Coherence means the things surrounding you act as orienting anchors. And an orienting anchor is an object that quietly recalls steadiness or meaning without demanding an action or an apology from you.
So like a favorite book or a meaningful photograph.
Or perhaps an instrument you actually pick up and enjoy without pressure. They support your attention rather than compete for it. The goal is simply letting go of the objects that have outlived their relevance. When you remove the things that are quietly demanding you fix them or organize them or feel guilty about them, you reclaim your attention from unnecessary obligation.
It's like closing the applications running in the background of your computer. You just free up RAM.
That's exactly what it is.
But let's say I curate my home perfectly. Every object is an orienting anchor. The reality is we still have to leave our homes. We have to commute. We have to deal with crowds, sit in chaotic offices. We can't always control the environment. So how do we practice the stillness in the unavoidable chaos of daily life? Where do we find the space?
We find it in the hidden pockets of time we usually completely ignore.
The hidden pockets.
Yeah. The text refers to these as intervals. These are the unmarked stretches of time between clearly defined tasks. It is the 3 minutes you spend waiting in line at the grocery store, or sitting in a waiting room, or just standing by the microwave.
Right. And usually we treat these intervals as annoyances. We view them merely as delays to be bypassed.
And because we view them as delays, what do? We immediately pull out our phones.
Oh, 100%. We fill the gap. We cannot tolerate the unmarked time.
Because without a defined task, the mind lacks a reference point. It gets anxious. But the radical alternative is to use these intervals to just be. Don't fill them. These spaces are free from the demands of beginnings and endings.
Nothing needs to be decided in the grocery store line.
Nothing needs to be concluded. By just inhabiting these moments without reaching for a distraction, you prove to your mind that presence does not require significance. You don't have to be doing something productive to simply exist comfortably.
And that ties into another layer of this, which is how we treat the things we are doing.
Yeah.
We don't just fill the physical gaps. We fill the mental gaps by constantly narrating our own lives.
Yes. Much of our daily life unfolds automatically, right? Sensations happen, actions occur. But our minds constantly overlay the experience with a running commentary.
The narration.
We narrate what is happening, we evaluate it, we compare it to what happened yesterday, or we project what it means for tomorrow. We are constantly tracking the experience rather than just living it.
It's like walking through your own life with a sports announcer, constantly doing play-by-play in your ear.
Oh, that's so true.
You know, she's picking up the coffee. She looks slightly tired today. She's wondering if she sent that email. Oh, the coffee's a bit cold. She should have gone to the other cafe. We never just experience the coffee. We are running a secondary track in our brains just to review it in real time.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that constant narration requires a massive amount of cognitive energy. You are basically asking your brain to do double duty. Experience the world and simultaneously write a Yelp review of it.
It's exhausting.
It is. When you consciously practice dropping that commentary, when you just drink the coffee without analyzing its temperature or grading your fatigue experience regains its immediacy, the mind expends far less energy managing and evaluating the experience and more energy simply inhabiting it. It removes the friction from your day.
It is exhausting to constantly be your own critic. And this doesn't just happen with coffee. It happens in our relationships, too, especially in the silences between conversations.
Oh, that is a huge one. That brief pause after words conclude is a crucial interval, yet we almost always rush past it. When a conversation ends, there is a residual presence, right?
Right.
The tone, the emotion, the rhythm of the interaction lingers briefly in the air. But usually our attention immediately jumps ahead to analyze what was said, judge our own responses, or plan what to say to the next person.
We treat that silence as empty space that needs to be packed into our mental luggage.
Exactly. But if you allow that silence to just exist, the residual presence of the conversation fades naturally. It allows the interaction to integrate without you needing to summarize it.
So if we're clearing the quiet demands from our spaces, learning to tolerate the intervals, and firing our internal sports announcer, what is the payoff? Because dropping all that cognitive load seems to lead to a very different baseline of happiness. The authors call it ordinary joy.
It is a beautiful shift in perspective because we are culturally conditioned to think of joy as a peak experience that requires elevation or drama.
Right. We think joy only happens on tropical vacations or at weddings or during major career achievements.
But ordinary joy is a joy that doesn't announce itself. It arises quietly, embedded in moments that don't seek recognition.
It sounds like the difference between a sugar rush and a steady, nutritious meal. One spikes and crashes, leaving you wanting more, while the other just quietly sustains you.
That is a brilliant way to look at it. The defining characteristic of ordinary joy is that it doesn't demand continuation or ownership. When you experience a dramatic peak of happiness, the sugar rush, the immediate instinct is often, how do I keep this? How do I get more of this?
Right, it breeds attachments.
Exactly. But ordinary joy, the warmth of the sun through a window, a quiet moment of focus at your desk, it passes naturally. You feel it, and you let it dissolve without disappointment.
Which naturally leads to the ultimate realization the authors discuss, which is the sense of sufficiency.
Yes. Sufficiency is the quiet recognition that nothing is missing right now. It is the absolute end of the exhausting cycle of accumulation.
Wow.
It's the moment your mind pauses its forward momentum and realizes the present moment does not require improvement to be adequate. As Dr. Howe writes, it is the peace that comes when enough becomes everything.
And this isn't just an abstract theory for the authors either. The philosophy behind this is deeply rooted in the history of the publisher Kokoshungsan, and specifically in Dr. Howe's own family heritage. The text details the story of her father, Mr. Hao Shu-San.
Right, and it's a vital piece of context that grounds all these concepts in reality. For over half a century, Mr. Hao ran the Yangsheng Herbal Pharmacy in Taiwan.
Half a century? That's incredible.
And he is described as embodying this exact steadiness we were talking about. Think about the daily reality of running a community pharmacy for 50 years. It is a life built on routine, weighing herbs, grinding ingredients, listening to the same neighbors day after day.
He didn't approach his life with frantic urgency or a desperate need to constantly scale the business or franchise it and conquer the market.
No, not at all. He approached his daily work with quiet determination, deep honesty, and immense compassion.
He lived the philosophy in the middle of a working life. He didn't have to retreat to a monastery. His monastery was the pharmacy counter.
Beautifully said. He proved that a life of true peace and meaningful impact is found in ordinary, diligent moments. Patiently listening to a visitor, offering thoughtful guidance. These aren't dramatic, world-stopping events. They're the quiet, steady rhythms of a life lived with presence.
Yeah.
His legacy is a testament to the fact that you don't need constant novelty, endless optimization, or high-stakes drama to lead a profound, impactful life.
So what does this all mean for us? How does the listener actually trust that enough is everything when the modern world constantly demands that we hustle for the next big achievement? Every message we get, from social media to the workplace, says, you are falling behind. You need more. You need to be more. How do you reconcile Mr. Howe's steady rhythm with a world that basically demands a sprint?
This raises an important question, and it is honestly the central tension of modern life.
Yeah.
The shift happens when you realize that fulfillment is not an achievement, it is a recognition.
A recognition.
Right. As long as you view peace as a destination you reach after you finish your to-do list, or after you get the promotion, you will never find it because the list never ends.
The finish line always moves.
Always. The mind must realize it can rest without waiting for external conditions to change to perfection. The example of Mr. Howe shows us that a fulfilling life isn't built on frantic accumulation. It is built on compassionate presence. When you stop negotiating with reality and instead greet it exactly as it arrives, you realize that stillness has been there the entire time, just waiting for you to stop fighting the current.
Just a complete paradigm shift. I love that. Let's look at the journey we've taken today. We started by recognizing that the exhaustion we feel on the couch is caused by the mind's constant background hum. That learned urgency to always be scanning for problems, even when nothing is required.
From there, we looked outward, examining how the cognitive load of our physical spaces drains our energy, and how curating for coherence and orienting anchors, rather than just throwing everything away, creates an environment that supports rest.
We explored how to practice this in the wild, too, by reclaiming life's little intervals, standing in line, waiting for a meeting, and firing that internal play-by-play announcer so we stop spending double the energy just to get through a single cup of coffee.
Exactly.
And finally, we saw how dropping that friction leads to ordinary joy and the profound relief of sufficiency, modeled so beautifully by a half-century legacy of steadiness at a family herbal pharmacy.
It truly is a roadmap to a lighter, more sustainable way of moving through time.
It really is. Now, we have obviously only scratched the surface of the wisdom in this text today. If you want to dive deeper into this mindset and rewire how you experience your daily life, you need to pick up a copy of Stillness in the Storm, Finding Peace Amidst Chaos.
It's a must-read.
And, as I mentioned earlier, please take a moment to visit Kokoshungsan.net. The work they are doing to provide educational resources, health insights, and personal growth materials is incredibly valuable. They are proving every day that knowledge changes destiny.
They really are. And before we go, I want to leave you with one final challenge based on what we've discussed today.
Ooh, a challenge. I like it.
The next time you find yourself waiting, whether for an elevator, a kettle to boil, or a friend to text back, resist the urge to fill the gap. Don't look at your phone. Don't narrate the moment in your head. Just let the moment be entirely incomplete and see what happens when you finally allow yourself to do absolutely nothing.
Just let the engine idle. Next time you finally get to rest on that couch, maybe, just maybe, your mind will actually rest there with you. Until next time, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Burning hot like a fire, melting hearts, taking us higher, sparking flames. We ignite the night. With every move we're shining bright, blazing passion, a force untamed, dancing through life. We're not the same, embracing heat. We're on a roll, setting the stage. We're in control. Freezing cold like a winter storm, chilling souls, taking them by the norm. Icy touch, sending shivers down the spine. Our rhythm freezes time, making you mine. Burning hot like a fire, melting hearts, taking us higher, sparking flames. We ignite the night. With every move we're shining bright, blazing passion, a force untamed, dancing through life. We're not the same, embracing heat. We're on a roll, setting the stage. We're in control. Freezing cold like a winter storm, chilling souls, taking them by the norm. Icy touch, sending shivers down the spine. Our rhythm freezes time, making you mine. In the heat of the moment, we're burning like a flame. In the chill of the night, we're freezing in the game. But no matter the weather, we're dancing hand in hand, together forever, in our fire into land. Through the highs and lows, we'll never let go. Our love's a blazing fire. In the coldest of snow, with every beat of our hearts, we're defying the cold in this winter's tale of love. Our story will be told as the embers fade away and the frost begins to thaw. We'll keep dancing in the moonlight, with love as our only law. With ever as our only law. With every beat of our hearts, we're defying the cold. In this winter's tale of love, our story will be told. As the embers fade away and the frost begins to thaw, we'll keep dancing in the moonlight, with love as our only law. In the heat of the moment, we're burning like a flame. in the chill of the night. We're freezing in the game, but no matter the weather, we're dancing